forward, or is it being walked back? Let's bring in Piers Morgan, host of Piers Morgan Uncensored on Fox Nation, to see if we can cut through the confusion. That's kind of the question, isn't it, Piers? Is this clarity or is this confusion? What is our policy when it comes to Taiwan?
Well, I think someone should tell President Biden what the policy is, because the White House says he's stuck to long-time policy, but he clearly hasn't. Long-time policy has not been that the US would engage directly, militarily, if China invades Taiwan. It's always been strategic ambiguity has been the policy. They've never committed to doing that. So President Biden, once again, has said something public about a big foreign policy situation which has dramatic repercussions. And the White House have to immediately, well, they sort of walk it back, don't they? But then they say, we're not walking it back. They try and pretend that what we've just heard him say is not what he just said. And we've had this all year. And I just think it's a sort of crazy situation where the leader of the free world keeps making these pronouncements. We know that they're a change of policy if he means what he says.
Right.
And then his own White House, in walking it back, pretends it's not a walk back. And soon, I guess, we're going to have a walk back of the walk back, which is the normal pattern. So I'm afraid the answer is it's confusing. And you cannot afford to be confusing. I also think there's a moral inconsistency here, because he was asked directly about a comparison with what's happening in Ukraine, where clearly the United States policy has been to offer military aid in the terms of weaponry, but not to engage militarily. And yet they seem to be now pursuing, President Biden and his White House, a different policy, if he meant what he said, with Taiwan and China. And so it's not only confusing, but it seems to me to be morally inconsistent.
And we just want to be consistent with you, Piers. We booked someone to walk back anything you said that was wrong in the next block after we say goodbye to you.
So well, actually, you know what? Talking of walking things back, I'd like to remind Mr. Kane, given I didn't know he was going to be on this morning, but I'm very pleased he is, because yesterday, probably he might regret this now, but he was watching what was going on with the British Premier League football final day of the season. Very dramatic, very exciting. And at the kind of epicenter of drama, Mr. Kane decided to address the world on his Twitter feed by saying, we're watching an epic season of collapse for Manchester City.
Piers.
Now, for Americans who don't follow the British Premier League, Manchester City at the time, let me finish, Manchester at the time were 2-0 down.
Yes.
And therefore they were going to lose the league. And within 5 minutes of Mr. Kane's tweet, Manchester City scored 3 goals and won the league, thereby rendering him probably the worst pundit in the history of the British Premier League. So if you, Mr. Kane, would like to now walk, if you now like to walk back that tweet,
the American audience will
guess.
appreciate us moving on from English soccer in just a moment. But I will just take a moment to say Twitter is a real-time mechanism. I'm a fan. My fandom was dominating Piers at the moment. My fandom is for Manchester City, and they won the Premier League. And I was emoting because it did look like they were choking up the title, and they ended up scoring 3 goals in 2 minutes.
The opposite of
choking.
choking.
I would just say to you, Piers, be careful. I already dominate you on American soil. Don't let me walk over there and start dominating you on British topics. It would be bad for your career.
Yeah, I just leave the football to me. You stick to guns and things like that. We'll be fine.
That's true. Just stereotype everyone in Texas as gun users. All right. I think it's important, though, that you guys follow each other. It shows a symbiosis. It means you're part of the family, truly, Piers. Let's talk a little golf. How great Tiger had to trying to gut his way through making the cut and getting through the PGA. But he did have time to offer congratulations to Justin Thomas. He said big congrats to Justin Thomas. He kept himself in this championship until the very end. And once he got his shot, he didn't look back. Thanks to Tulsa and the PGA Championship for a great week. That is a totally different guy than the way he started this game, right?
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Justin Thomas. I went to bed last night and he was beginning to make his charge. It was an amazing win. But also kudos to Tiger Woods, who I think, in a way, watching him in crippling pain, really struggling on that third day after managing to make the cut against all the odds, it's almost been as inspiring watching him do this as it was when he was the greatest player in the world and destroying everybody. Because, you know, only a year ago, this guy had a car crash after a lot of other injuries, but a car crash that looked like it was going to end his entire golf career, and we were going to lose arguably the greatest to ever play the game. And here he is a year later, somehow competing with the very best, many of them half his age, somehow getting round 2-3 rounds. And all right, he didn't make it to the end. But my God, this guy is inspiring. You know, there's something about Tiger Woods, that kind of Rocky Balboa sentiment of it's not how many times you can hit, it's how many times you can get hit and get up and keep going forward. And I find what's going on with him now truly inspiring, and I just hope as a golf fan that he makes the Open Championship here in Britain in July. It would be amazing to see him there. It's at the old course, St Andrews, which he has said is his favourite course in the world, and I hope he makes it. I think he's not going to make the US Open, but he might make our Open, and I would love that. But I think he's just such a, to everyone out there who thinks that quitting is the way to go, giving up. You know, if you've got a slight niggle, don't move forward. Look at the way Tiger Woods combats these things in his life. It'd be so easy with his money and fame to just say, you know what, I'm just going to sit it out for another year or two. But no, he just wants to try and get back out there and get back to where he was. And I think it's incredible to watch.
I love that scene from Rocky. That was the scene when he's on the street talking to his son, right? Don't give up. It's a great scene.
Yeah. Well, he's got the spoiled son. It's my favourite thing I say to my sons. They actually have grown to hate it over the years because I repeat it so often. But, you know, if you are being a bit whiny and a bit spoiled and a bit like the world's, got it in for me, go and watch that scene where Rocky talks to his son, because actually it's a great thing for life, isn't it? We're in a world where there's a lot of snowflakery behaviour. A lot of people celebrate weakness, celebrate quitting. But actually, life's about overcoming hurdles, isn't it? And it's about actually proving that you can do that and not succumbing to the temptation just to give up. And I think that the more that we have that from role models, the better, frankly.
Right. And by the way, just for the record, after Rocky won, he lost after Rocky won. If he had quit then, there would have been no Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. Right, which would have been, we would have been okay with that Rocky 4. But Rocky 5.
Rocky 4 is the one where he beats Drago. That's a great one. Rocky 4.
Oh, you're right. Oh, the 5 was the problem.
Can we all agree? I was about to say, can we all agree that 5 was a complete turkey? And I was so glad that Stallone went back and made the 6th one, because the 6th one was a great film, and actually it had the greatest of all the speeches from the Rocky films.
That's the one. The one you keep referencing, right? Is where he says to his son, "It's not how hard you get hit. It's whether or not you get up." Right. Long and short of it is, do you keep going once you get hard in life?
Right.
All right, Piers, we got to talk about
It's can you get knocked down, get back up, and keep moving forward? Yeah. That's the key to life, I think.
Just in case people want to see that, was it number 3? Was that the?
No, 3 was Mr. T.
Okay.
Number 4 was.
Where was that speech?
4 was Russia.
4 was Drago.
Yeah, 5 was Tommy
5
Morrison.
5 was a turkey, and 6 was the big one.
Antonio Tarver.
Well, where was that speech?
An exhibition.
Which one was that speech in? 6. Okay.
In 6.
Yeah. OK, let's talk about the Queen, because the Jubilee is next week, and she's 96 years old. It's being reported that she is delegating some of her royal duties now. How is her health? What's word on the street over there?
Well, I had a long chat with somebody very plugged in with the royals and the Queen, very close to Prince Charles, and I got a full briefing at the weekend about what's going on. The truth is, the Queen is 96. She's having a lot of mobility issues, and that's the real issue. She can't stand up for very long, and she has good days and she has bad days. Anyone who knows somebody in their 90s will recognise this is not an unusual phenomenon for people when they get to that age. The Queen's a tough lady, and every time we think maybe, sadly, that may be the beginning of the end, she pops up looking radiant, as she was last week at the horse show with Tom Cruise, and we all feel good again. I think there's a sort of private concern that they want her to be available for as much as possible for the Platinum Jubilee, which starts, of course, a week on Thursday. It's going to be, I've got to tell you, the excitement building in the UK and London in particular is absolutely enormous right now, because I think people recognise we're not going to have the Queen for much longer, and this is celebrating 70 years on the throne, the longest reigning ever British monarch. And I think there is a genuine feeling of this is a wonderful way to acknowledge and to respect that service to her country. But there's also a private concern that health-wise, it's going to be tricky for her. She's not going to be able to do half the things that she would have even done 2 years ago. So I think that they are trying to keep things going. I think she'll appear for, I would hope, The most famous scene will be the balcony scene for Trooping of the Colour. That's the one I know she's desperate to be at. But I think other things will be delegated, as they're already being, to her son, Prince Charles, to her grandson, Prince William, and to the immediate firm, as they put it. And I think that's wise and cautious. I just hope that she's able to make it for the big celebrations of that 4-day holiday, because I think we would all like to be able to see her smiling and to say thank you, Mum, for everything that you've done.
Well, Piers, I am honored that I get to fly over to England and cover this with you and with Martha McCallum. We're going to have a lot of fun. It starts next week. I think we fly out on Tuesday after the show, and then we'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and through the weekend.
I'm going to take you... Yes. I see it as every day. We're going to be doing this for 2 days, I think, and we've got a big 4-hour slog with me giving you my expert opinions about the royal family, and then I think we can all agree we're all going to need a drink after that, after me banging on for 4 hours. So I have a nice local pub lined up for you, and we will then go and have a few liveners to cheer yourselves up after 4 hours with me.
Piers, if you don't mind, the problem is if we're going to fly her over, that she's going to go drinking, and then there's a lot to do. Would be better if Martha and Ainsley had a chance to stay with you at your mansion, at your compound, so we don't have to pay for the hotel. Is that possible? I don't want to put you on the spot.
It would be my... Listen, we're all one family now, Brian. My homes are your homes. Any of you guys want to bed for the night, I'm your guy.
No,
my homes are your homes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He's going to love it when I show up.
I can't wait.
Just leave Will Kane behind. I'm not ready for him with his football opinions. But I'm actually very excited. I think we're going to have a lot of fun in London. It's going to be great. The weather forecast is pretty good. Foggy. Looks like it won't be much rain, a lot of sunshine around. So it could be a glorious few days. And what better way for you, Ainsley, and for Martha than to spend it with me?
Yeah, we can't wait. We can't wait.
If you don't say for yourself.
Piers Morgan, uncensored on Fox Nation, 4:30 Eastern Time. Catch it there.
And then watch Piers Morgan, then watch Rocky VI.
Yes.
And wait for that speech.
Thanks, Piers.
Thank you, Piers. Always a great guest. You're so fun.
Take care. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.